Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the analyst Robert Leach, and welcome to your 5th episode of PWA's online series of free matches. Today, we go back to Brawloween on October 21st, 2017 at the 8th Street Gym for some singles competition. As you can see, accompanied by his loyal henchman, this is Magnus, now known in 2020 as the Magnustan heavyweight champion. He's been known as that champion for well over a year at this point. And as he makes his way down to the ring, we're going to go over, some of the great things he's done since he became this superhero-like character, thus leaving behind the former multi-time tag team champion. Magnus has proven himself among many a great competitors, such as the modern-day outlaw Brian Ely, Scotty Cash, even Jake Lander has felt the wrath of Magnus. And today, Magnus will see another, as he likes to call, sacrifice to push him further to the top of the ladder and show that he is the true leader of Magnustan. And Magnus, as he kneels in the center of the ring posing for the PWA fans here at the 8th Street Gym, Magnus ready for his opposition here tonight. And his opposition, he's not going to have any easy task against rather charming Bradley Stevens III. Bradley Stevens III has been around in PWA, or he had been at this point since 2014. He had a nice 3-year stint inside of PWA before leaving PWA for other ventures in 2017. Bradley Stevens III making his way to the ring to take on Magnus, someone he hasn't had a singles match against in PWA up to this point. Bradley Stevens going to try and prove that Magnus is no match for the Springfield wrestling legend here tonight at the 8th Street Gym, Brawloween 2017. You see the henchman trying to knock Bradley Stevens off of the ropes there. Going back to protect Magnus, and Bradley Stevens back into the ring. Bradley really willing on the fans here. A new attitude at this point for Bradley Stevens, who hadn't ever been one to agree or be motivated by the fans' love and support. So Bradley Stevens taking on Magnus one-on-one. Let's take it to ring announcer Carrie Ann. Charming Bradley Stevens III taking on the leader of Magnustan. This is Magnus, of course. This match will be officiated by senior referee Chris Barrow. You can see the henchman entering the ring to protect Magnus here. And the henchman says he's going to go after Bradley Stevens, who throws him a couple of right hands. And the henchman taken out easily by Bradley Stevens, who now is set to go one-on-one with Magnus. And Magnus going to scold his henchman for not being able to stand up against his opponent. The henchman taken out quite easily by Bradley Stevens, who has another go at it. And Bradley Stevens with the same result as last time, but Magnus taking the opportunity to run in from behind. And now going after Bradley Stevens III into the corner, as Magnus hammering away with closed fists to the midsection. And now Magnus picking up Bradley Stevens for a huge sidewalk slam. That could be it this early. No, only a 2 count. Bradley Stevens not going to give in that early. Bradley Stevens, of course, has a lot of toughness to him. We've seen in his PWA career, he has gone one-on-one and stood his own against WWE Hall of Famer Cowboy Bob Orton. He stood his own against many greats, including Guy Smith, Jimmy Carrot, and even more, even Derek Moss. And Bradley Stevens again kicking out, getting the shoulders off the mat, off the pin attempt from Magnus. And the Henchman trying to will on Magnus in the corner, as you can see. And Magnus Irish whip off the rope. And Bradley Stevens caught with a huge clothesline. And Magnus off the ropes into a huge walking elbow. Very nonchalant cover, very confident in every move that he makes. Bradley Stevens, however, kicking out at the count of 2. And now Magnus going to pick up Bradley Stevens III. But Magnus telling the referee, check out the Henchman. Or maybe leave the Henchman alone. He's only doing his job. Willing on the leader of Magnustan. And you can see this is almost an illegal choke from Magnus as the Henchman distracts the referee. As Magnus goes back into a rear chin lock, a legal wrestling hold here in this matchup. Oh, but now Magnus working Stevens back down to the mat as Stevens was trying to fight out of the hold. And you can see the Henchman just belittling and almost making fun of Bradley Stevens here as he suffers in the center of the ring and now laid back down into a very confident cover yet again by the leader of Magnustan. And now Magnus going to pick up Stevens yet again. Needing to whip him into the corner here. And now Magnus distracting the referee. And look at the Henchman choking Bradley Stevens in the corner. That referee needs to turn around and see what the hell's going on as Magnus distracts the referee. However, the Henchman sent off the steel turnbuckle in the corner, and Magnus went for a body splash to the back of Stevens, who got out of the way, and now Fists of Fire trying to gain some traction in this matchup. Only a 1 count as Bradley Stevens begins to gain momentum and gain his first bits of offense into this matchup. And now the knee strike to the chin of the leader of Magnustan, and Bradley Stevens off the second rope going for an axe handle. Bradley Stevens caught in the midsection with a fist. And now right back on the defense is Magnus, who goes for the cover. Again, only a 2 count. Bradley Stevens is tough. He keeps kicking out of everything that Magnus throws at him, but Magnus showing the dominance. And this new attitude since he seemed to change after the former tag team antics didn't quite work out. After the retirement of former tag partner Michael Shard, Magnus gained a whole new look, a whole new personality, becoming the leader of Magnustan back in January 2017. And Magnus really showing his power here as he just scoops up with ease Bradley Stevens and slams him down in the center of the ring. And a kick to the head and a couple of stomps to the ribs and the back. All over the place, stomps to Bradley Stevens as he's almost just being bullied by Magnus here. Into the lateral press. Again, only a 2 count. Bradley Stevens not going to give this thing up so easily. Bradley Stevens now stumbles into the ropes as Magnus distracts the referee again. And the Henchman had a hold of Bradley Stevens, who got out of the way. Magnus connecting with a punch to the head of his own Henchman, and now Bradley Stevens looking to capitalize here. Reversal of the Irish whip, and here comes Magnus, caught with a boot by Bradley Stevens III, who now hooks him looking for a small package here. Bradley Stevens might steal the victory too. Only a 2 count. Magnus able to get his shoulders off the mat just in the nick of time. Bradley Stevens with a huge drop kick. And now Bradley Stevens might have this thing in the bag as he goes to climb the ropes for his signature fist drop off the second rope. Shades of WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. And here's the Henchman grabbing a hold of the leg of Bradley Stevens. And the referee needs to get over there and get that Henchman off the apron and eject him from ringside. But there's a right hand to the Henchman for Bradley Stevens, who connects with a punch to the bare mat of this wrestling ring. And now Magnus calls this the roller coaster. The spinning full Nelson slam into the cover. 2 and 3. Bradley Stevens III unable to knock off Magnus. Magnus earns yet another victory in his illustrious Springfield Wrestling, especially PWA career, a multiple-time tag team champion, now known as the Magnustan heavyweight champion. Magnus has done so much in PWA and in pro wrestling in general. I can't wait to see what 2021 has in store for this legend of Springfield Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been the analyst, Robert Leach, and we're going to see you again very soon for another edition of a PWA free match here on PWA's YouTube channel. Check out PWA on any social media, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, of course, at PWA Springfield. I've been the analyst, Robert Leach, and we're going to see you next time.